Hey, this is Claude Harris, creator and founder of College Coaching Network. We're going to talk about in this actual webinar personal economy, your personal economy. We want to talk to you about the things that a lot of people don't talk about when they go over financial workshops with you. We're going to talk about the emotional aspects of money and how to properly manage your own personal money. We're not talking about debits and credits or money market accounts and checks and all that stuff. We're talking about why people make the emotional decisions they make. I don't know if you know this, but 80%, 80 or 87% of lottery winners will go broke within 5 to 7 years of winning millions upon millions of dollars. And why is this? It's because of the way that they're emotionally wired. And we're going to make sure we get you rewired and that you fully understand how to manage money. There's a 3-step simple system we're going to talk about today, which is the history of money, lifestyle, and then also how to stay ahead. 1913 in history was an important date. This was the date that Woodrow Wilson was the President of the United States, and this was a year that the Federal Reserve was created. Upon his deathbed, there was a letter, I guess a repentance letter that he wrote, stating that he wished he never would have allowed that to happen, and that he basically allowed our country to be controlled and ruled by a small group of greedy men, kind of in a nutshell. You can research that on your own, but it's very interesting how they basically helped him get in office, and then he in return kind of allowed them to push their agenda for the Federal Reserve. And right at that same time is when the IRS was created as well. 1971, a lot of people have a lot of things to say about this president, but Richard Nixon was basically the one that took us off the gold standard. Now, if you want to go back in time, you can see that money is paper, and you can actually see that money was created to allow us not to have to carry gold and silver around. And so gold and silver is pretty heavy, and money is actually paper currency, stating that gold and silver is being held in reserve at the bank. Well, in 1971, Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard and allowed us to print more money than what we had actually in gold and silver in reserve. This created what we call hyperinflation, and this is the reason why from 1971 till today you have seen cost of a lot of things in regards to housing, food, utilities, clothing go up astronomical in regards to the amounts that they were going up back in 1971 and prior. So great thing to know about the history of why you see the cost of things going up so high, because it's no longer being backed by gold and silver, and as the value of the dollar goes up or down based upon consumer thoughts of kind of how strong our country is, that's how you see the dollar going up or down in value. And then also this young man here, which is Rich Dad Poor Dad, he talked about some great things in regards to those 2 dates. You can kind of look at some videos he has on YouTube. He really breaks it down. I just didn't want to put that in this video today, but this is a wonderful book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and the 3 things that he kind of talked about is pay yourself first. This is how you make sure that you stay away from hyperinflation. Pay off your debt, and which is amazing to definitely focus on doing that. And then the thing I really love about what he said is he says poor people work for wages. So when you graduate from college, a lot of people want a good high-paying job, which is good to have, but he says poor people work for wages, or I say just for wages, but rich people work for assets. So we're going to talk about the difference between working just for wages or working for assets. Number 2 under the 3-step system is lifestyle. You go to high school to be able to make it to college, and you go to college to be able to graduate and get a good high-paying job. You know, you want to love yourself. You want to make sure you have a good life for yourself. And so lifestyle basically is the reason why you're working, the reason why you want a high-paying job. You want to have a certain car, certain amount of clothing, you want to have in a certain area that you live in, you want to send your kids to certain schools when you have a family, you want to have a certain amount of money in the bank, you want to be able to go out and eat and enjoy your friends and family and take vacations and stuff like that. All that stuff goes up under lifestyle. This is the reason why we go to college. This is the reason why we go to work every day. And so we want to talk about under lifestyle. There's a 3-step rule of money. So number 1 is money must be directed. And so that's why it's so important for us to have budgets or spending plans, as a new terminology may be. Number 2, money is a reflection of the value you create. If you don't help anybody, then that's a great reflection why you don't have much money. So if you're serving people and you're actually putting other people before yourself, you will look at your bank account, and that will be a reflection of the value that you create in the lives of other people. Number three, money must stay in motion if you want abundance. And so you can't just hoard money. You have to be a distributor of money, not a hoarder of money. And we'll talk about that. We want you to, under lifestyle, follow what is called a 10-10-10 rule. I got this actually from Mark Victor Hansen, which is an amazing individual. And so what is this? What is 10-10-10? Well, first 10% of what you make, give it away. And so that means you give it in tithe or charity or those in need, or etc. You know, one of the things I heard Dave Ramsey say is those people that are married and they offer tithe to their church, or a charity or what have you, actually have a lower divorce rate than those who don't tithe that are married couples. And that seems like that would be kind of weird, because a lot of people divorce over the lack of money. Well, the reason why he stated this is a person who's a giver first always looks at what they can do to try to make that situation better. And so those families that actually are tithers, both of the husband and the wife are constantly looking for ways of how they can enhance the relationship of their spouse, and it causes them to have a giver's first mentality, which causes them to work out problems that may arise in their relationship. And they will, as a couple, you're going to go through things, but that mentality is the core or the root of their values, of what they believe in. So that's the reason why being a giver. And also the last thing, this is the old wise saying, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. A closed fist doesn't receive anything. If you want everything for yourself and you're not putting yourself in position to give first, your hand will always remain closed to receive what God wants to give you. So it's important for you to understand the importance of giving, however that may be. And the second 10% is to pay yourself first. So this goes back to Robert Kiyosaki. I go a little bit different, where I believe that you should be a giver first before you pay yourself first. And we've had weighted and spirited debates on that, but basically 10-10-10 is a principle for whichever way you want to classify those two categories. But pay yourself into your own personal account. This money goes into an account that you don't touch. This just allows you to continually build this money up. And then the third thing you want to do with the third 10% is invest. And so the last portion is the 70% for lifestyle. Now I'm going to go over a case study with you, but this is a question that most people want to know, like, okay man, how in the world, especially if you're a parent, you're looking at this with your child, how in the world am I going to live off 70% of what I make? You got to be crazy. Well, let's go over a case study. This is my nerdy family right here. So let's say Claude, myself, I make $50,000 a year, and for my lifestyle, I want to buy a house and a car, and I got student loans I need to pay, and I have a family now, and I need to invest in tithe, and then also at my church, and then also I have children that are in private school. So I got a lot of things happening with only $50,000, right? So let's break this thing down. So I've got $4,166.67 a month in gross income. My tax bracket is a 28% tax bracket. That's typically where people are when I've got this many kids. I've got some head of household deductions and some rugrat deductions that I can get to lower me down from 33% to 28%. And so now my net pay is about $3,000 a month. All right, Claude pays off his net and not his gross for his tithe, and so other people may debate on that, and me and my wife, we talk about that. So we need to keep every dollar we can right now. So let's just go off this example off of the net. Even though you may do off your gross, and I get that, and I'm there with you, I'm just doing that for this example. His house payment is $1,000 a month. His car payment is $350 a month. He's not really balling out of control. A decent car. Private school is about $150 a week, and so that's not cheap. And then utilities is roughly about $500 a month, which is pretty hefty. And then food is about $350, and then gas and insurance for the car is about $300 a month. And then Claude spends roughly off that budget about $3,400 a month. So he only makes $3,000 net, but he has a budget set up, and a lot of times people don't even have a budget. They just create these bills and wonder why they can't pay them. And so he's about $400 a month short, and so he's robbing Peter to pay Paul every month, just juggling stuff around, trying to stay ahead. But basically, he's broke. Okay, so let's go to the next one. All right, so Claude spends 90% on lifestyle and 10% on giving. So Claude pays off his net, not his gross, for his tithe, which is $300, and then his house payment's $1,000. And so some suggestions for Claude may be he could have rented instead of buying a house, or bought a smaller house. For his car, maybe he could have bought a car for cash to start instead of having a car payment. If he had the cash, maybe he didn't have the cash. Private school, maybe they could have went to a public school for a while. And everything else, there was pretty much, it is what it is. So let's go to the next one. Let's see if Claude could maybe change his mindset and follow this 10-10-10-70 plan. Okay, now let me point this out to you. If you already have your lifestyle kind of set, you're going to have to make some difficult decisions to realign yourself to this 10-10-10-70 rule. I'll tell you that off the top. You're going to have to get rid of some stuff. You're going to have to really make some sacrifices in order to pull this off. And these may be some decisions that you don't want to make, but I want to challenge you, if you're looking at this with your child, that if you don't make these decisions, your life will never change. If you don't make these decisions, you can pray, you can get on your knees and hope that things get better, but it's your responsibility with the decisions that you make. And I don't want to turn this into some kind of me doing a workshop or seminar or some kind of lecture, what have you, but I really believe that's important that you understand what I just told you, because if you don't do these difficult decisions, life will continue to happen and life will make the decision for you. And so bankruptcy does happen, people's credit being torn up does happen, and that's life making decisions for you. And so if you can actually flip this around and look at this video not from a perspective of how can I do that, but finding out, asking yourself, okay, what steps could I take? Not that it's going to happen today, but what steps can I take in order to make this happen? Now let me flip it. If you are a child that's in high school and you're getting ready to go into college and you don't have a family and you don't have a lot of debt, this is a perfect time before you create a lifestyle to follow this system. So we're going to walk you through the benefits if you're actually getting ready to go into creating a lifestyle, so you don't make the same mistakes maybe your mother, your father, or your guardian has made. So let's look at this. Claude decides to follow this 10-10-10-70 plan. Claude can spend $300 for giving tithe. Again, he's still doing it off the net. $300 for saving, and $300 for investing. So now Claude truly only has $2,100 for his lifestyle. Claude now, because he's following this 10-10-10-70 plan, knows he can only pay $700 for rent. So he pays $700 for rent. He goes down a little bit on the car payment to $250 instead of $350. His food went down a little bit, and utilities stayed the same. And his food stayed the same, utilities stayed the same, and then the gas and the car and the insurance went down to about $200, and there's no private school. So he took the gas and the insurance down because he got a little bit of a maybe less expensive car. Okay, and so in 3 years, let's look at what happened in Claude's life. Claude saved $10,800. That's how much money he has in the bank. Claude has invested basically his $10,800 into his own personal development. So Claude has went to workshops, he's bought books, he's been at different networking meetings, and he's basically enhanced his own self-worth. And so he took his value that he created in the market up by investing in his own personal education. He didn't put it in stocks, he invested in himself, and he got better. And over 3 years, because of this personal development in himself, he basically got the door open for him to go from $50,000 a year to $85,000. That's a $35,000 increase because Claude kept investing in himself. So Claude now will net off of $85,000, $61,200 per year, because he took $10,800 and invested it in making himself better. which is what a lot of people don't do. They buy CDs, they buy clothing. Black men, we spend more money on our hair than we spend on what goes in our head. Or women, that could be that way as well. Or just anybody. It doesn't mean just a black person. It could be any person that's doing this. But we want to make sure that we understand the power of investing in self-development. And so now with this $61,200 increase, now he's able to save $6,120 a year. He also will be able to he'll be able to give, I apologize, $6,120 a year that he'll be able to invest in tithe or charities. He'll be able to save $6,120 a year, and then he'll also be able to invest $6,120 a year. And we'll have $42,840 net, which is $3,570 a month. So if Claude was patient, if Claude invested in himself and he put himself in a position to develop and grow, over that period of time he would have more than the $3,400 a month that he needed 3 years ago in order to maintain that lifestyle with the private schools and the car that he had before and the house that he owned. But he would also be in a position that he's saving $6,000 a year. He's investing $6,000 a year. He has $10,800 already saved, and he's in a much better position than where he would have been had he just went the other way without the 10-10-10-70 plan. Hopefully that made sense. Stay ahead. Start by getting a checking or savings account with the local bank. I don't know if you know this, but statistics have stated that those who don't have a checking or savings account that go to payday loan companies or check cashing companies will actually spend $48,000 in banking fees because they don't have a savings or a checking account. You need to get one of those established. Number 2, create a budget you will follow before you get out of college. Have a lifestyle budget and make sure that budget follows a 10-10-10-70 rule. Yes, you may feel like others may have more things starting out. They may have a better car, they may live in a better place, they may have a better TV, but follow the plan. Stay committed to the plan. Over time, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years down the road, you will look and see a major separation between your lifestyle and their lifestyle. This is just a small idea of what we wanted to talk to you about in regards to financial planning. Hopefully this made some kind of sense. No one ever explained this to me. No one ever gave me a case study to let me see the impact of me creating a lifestyle without following a system of how my money is being allocated. But if you could fast forward down the road 10 years, Claude is going to have $60,000 in his actual savings account before any interest. He's going to have $60,000 going towards his own personal investments, and he's going to actually give $60,000 to charity or to tithe at his local church. Claude is moving up, and these are the things that we want to see in your life. We want to see you following this system and allowing the compound effect to take root and take you to the next level. Have a great day, and I really appreciate you going through this with us. We hope that you can share this video with other people or just share the concepts with family members or friends that may be having financial problems. Have a wonderful day.